Let's get cranking. Let's get cranking.
Let's do it.
All right. Question number 1. What is Oz talking about?
Oh, that's a great question.
Would you like to unveil? Would you like to reveal what he's talking about?
Mehmet, would you like to answer this first one? Let's see what Mr. Oz has for us today, guys. What is Mehmet talking about today?
Let's make sure we're reading it for our audio-only listeners as well.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'll read it. I'll read it just for those of you that end up listening on an audio-only platform.
Go ahead, take a screenshot, you guys. It's me and Mehmet.
So Dr. Oz, for those of you that don't know, Glenn has a cardboard cutout of Dr. Oz behind him at all times when we do the show. Our current CMS administrator. And there's a word bubble above his head that says save $500 or more on Lead Heroes T65 leads. So that is what Oz is talking about.
I appreciate the endorsement, big guy. I'm not sure the legality behind this, but you know what? I'm going to let this one slip. I won't say anything if you won't say anything. So appreciate that, Mr. Mehmet.
All right.
All right, Dr. Oz, everybody.
Moving on. Next question. What is the length of the index finger of the Statue of Liberty?
Oh my God.
Any guesses? I have no freaking idea. I guess let me give some context to this.
Oh no. We're 10 minutes in. I'm getting nervous.
I have seen the Statue of Liberty once in my life. I was a child, and I remember seeing it. You know how when you're a little kid, things seem way bigger than they actually are, and then you go back and see them when you're an adult, and you're like, that seemed bigger to me. It's because you were a midget. You were very small. So I could not actually honestly tell you how big the Statue of Liberty is. In my memory, I remember it being huge, but I don't think it was very huge. And I think it's good size.
I've never seen it in person, admittedly. Never seen it in person. I guess we should
Google
take
search.
a guess and then do a quick Googler. So index finger of Statue of Liberty. I'm gonna say 3 feet. I'm gonna say it's a 3 foot finger. Final answer.
I'll say 1 foot.
Okay. Closest one wins. Here we go.
All right.
Give it the goog. Give it the old goog. Let's see
old goog.
Let's see who's closer.
All right. How long is the Statue of Liberty's index finger? 8 feet.
Whoa, that's insane.
That thing's bigger than I thought.
Yes.
Or maybe I was right. Maybe I was right all along. My first instinct as a child. All right, great question. Very interesting question.
Yes.
All right, next question. Just here so I can have a chance to enter the giveaway. That's not really a question, so I will skip it, but thank you for being here, Doug. Let's see.
Thanks, Doug. We appreciate you, Doug.
How long and how often do you do the sauna?
Love this question. Great question. Christian, how often are you saunaing? I'm assuming that's a word. Talk to the audience. This is important.
So I have a mixture in terms of the location of my workouts. Okay. So I have a health club that I belong to. It's on the way to the office from my house. So it's super convenient in terms of that on days I go in. So my schedule usually is half in the office, half working from home. I also have a gym in my house that we've built. So on days that I don't go in, I will work out at my home gym. So I don't have a sauna in my house yet. So I usually, if I go in 3 days, that's usually how many times I'd sauna in terms of how often I'm saunaing. It all depends on how often I'm going into the office. Saunaing. Now I usually will sit in there 15 to 20 minutes. It's usually my time frame. I have done longer. Sometimes in the past I would do 30 minutes, 40 minutes, but I feel myself feeling kind of sleepy all day if I do that. So the 15 to 20 minute mark seems to be the best time frame for me.
Yeah. So for me, it's about 3 or 4 days a week, sometimes maybe 5 days a week. It's funny because I used to always go for 20 minutes. And the variable here too for me is how hot the sauna is. sometimes it seems like it's hotter. I don't know if it's perception or if someone's getting in there and messing with the temp. I love that sweet spot when it's a little bit on the cooler end, and I feel like I could sit in there all day when it's like 160, 170. I feel like it gets a lot hotter. Often, like this morning, it felt like it was probably 200 in there. It was so hot.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's hot like that, I've got to get out in 15 minutes. I tried to stay in for 20 minutes, but I usually start to feel almost a little sick around 15.
Yeah.
But
we will have guys routinely in my gym go in, and they'll go in and they'll like, there's always a spray bottle in our sauna that people can spray themselves with.
oh yeah,
So
yeah.
we always have guys that will either go in and blow on the sensor, like to get it to blow more, or they'll spray it with water. So sometimes it gets really foggy. It's like basically you feel like it's like a cloud. You can't see through it. I kind of like that. I don't want to see other people in there. I'm like, you do you, bro. You do me. I have wireless waterproof Bluetooth headphones, so I usually have those in earbuds. And I take them in the shower and everything, like when I'm at the gym. And I don't know, I kind of isolate. I had some really great naked conversations with people in the sauna, but lately I just haven't been into it. I've been wanting to listen to my book or whatever I'm listening to.
Yeah, I'm always earbuds in the sauna, which I'm always like, man, are my AirPods gonna just fry in here? Because it's
Are they
so hot.
specifically waterproof? You need special waterproof ones.
No, I'm just using my I just have my AirPods, which, by the way, they've been through the washer 3 times. I bought new AirPods when we were going to Nashville, and I've already washed them 3 times. So maybe they are waterproof. I keep leaving them in my clothes.
Maybe so.
Let's move on. We've got another great question here. This is an actual Medicare question we're getting to, which is fantastic. John says, if I do all of my Medicare appointments face-to-face, am I exempt from all FCC and other bureaucratic regulations? I just need an SOA, right? SOA in this context, you guys, of course, stands for scope of appointment. So some of this is true. There's some truth here, but there's also some not truth. When you say other bureaucratic regulations, that is so vague and
that sounds like CMS to me. That sounds like CMS. I would say,
like, no, you're not. There's still rules.
There just might not be as easily enforced upon you, right?
True.
Because it's not like you're not having a recorded call or anything, but like, you still have to follow all CMS regulations. And it comes to FCC regulations. FCC regulations, for the most part, have to do with like telecommunications and marketing you're doing to them and things like that. But that being said, like if you're doing a face-to-face appointment, let's say, and you call them to book that appointment, you still have to follow FCC rules and regulations on that phone call to book the appointment. I would say the FCC regulations itself probably don't necessarily apply too much on that face-to-face appointment, but certainly CMS regulations do, and I would consider them a bureaucratic pencil-pushing regulation, friendly organization.
Friendly, very friendly. That was a good answer. So moving on, I don't want to miss. I see we're getting more and more questions. I don't want to miss these to Facebook's algorithm eating these live in the chat. Keith asks, do these C65 leads include an email address? Also, do we need to wait 48 hours to discuss specific plan details? So, Keith, great question. The Turn 65 leads right now from Lead Heroes, they don't always have an email address attached to it. Sometimes they do. A lot of times they don't. What you are getting, though, is all of their specific data point information that was captured originally with that first opt-in. So their name, address, their approximate age, birthday, date of birth, all of that information. And then you also get the notes from the caller and the actual recording of the phone call from the caller. And it does not include a scope of appointment. So if this is going that direction, you're planning on selling Medicare Advantage, you do need to scope them and wait 48 hours at that point if you're setting that appointment or you're going to be talking to them over the phone.
Good question.
Yes.
Let's keep moving on up. All right.
Do
I need to be bald to be successful? Yes.
Yes.
Do.
I'm surprised this is even a question.
So I would highly recommend some consider shaving the old head. I would highly recommend waxing it. Just kidding. Don't really do that. That's a health concern. You might bleed to death.
Maybe at the summit we'll wax each other's heads on stage. That could be fun. Could you imagine?
Oh, what a spectacle. Welcome to the circus, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Episode 100.
Where did you and Glenn first meet? Who made the initial move? Oh, a relationship question. How did you guys meet?
Jason, that's very personal. It's very personal. We will share it because we are on the 100th episode special here today.
I am curious if your recollection of it is the same as mine.
Oh my gosh, this sounds like the Newlywed Game or something. Write it down. Then we'll both show it at the same time.
Is it right? Is it the same?
I'll tell you my side of this, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong here. It was early 2020, sometime between, I'd say, like January and March. Christian had started a Facebook group. At the time, it was called Six Figure Medicare Agent. I joined it. I had been floating between a few Facebook groups. I was trying to run a group. It was very difficult, as many of you who've tried to run groups know. It's very difficult to manage a Facebook group and to keep all of the BS, the spamming, the negativity out, and to moderate and to continue to add content. So I see Christian jump in right away, and he's just going ham, obviously spending like 20 hours a day in here. So I'm like, oh, cool. I want to be part of this group. He gets really hot over some comments. I can't even tell you. I, at one point, actually spent a lot of time going all the way back to the beginning of this Facebook group. I was trying to find this first post for history's sake. I wanted to frame it and print it. I couldn't find it. I think it got deleted. But essentially, Christian was really upset, kind of berated someone, and I responded to this comment on this post, and I was like, hey dude, just FYI, like, you're gonna need some thicker skin, which Christian took very personally and was like, oh, okay, whoever you are.
I'm like, fuck you.
Does that sound about right? Did I miss anything there?
Pretty much. I mean, that's pretty spot on. I'll add a couple of additional details that I remember. So yeah, I mean, it was a post that I don't think I was replying to someone's comment. I think someone had kind of gone after me on another thread of some kind, because, like, for those of you that ever run a Facebook group, like, you are, especially when it's blowing up and really growing at a massive rate, like that, like 6-figure, now 7-figure Medicare Agent was at the time. Like, it was like all of a sudden the new hot commodity, right, in the scene. And it was growing really fast. And so, but anytime people are getting used to you and they're getting to know you, you're all of a sudden under a microscope, and people just,
yes,
they're going to criticize you, and, pretty massively. And if you've never gone through that before, you're not used to it. Like, most people don't deal with that in their everyday life. It takes a little bit of adjusting. And so at the time, especially that first year, I would do a lot of what we refer to now as public executions of people. Like, I would put up posts and just absolutely just drag them through the mud and just, curb stomp them in a way.
I feel like, I think you even, if I'm trying to really remember this, like, I'm doing a deep memory search here. I feel like you even DM'd me. I think you were so bothered at my comment that I think you might have. I think you DM'd me and you were like, dude, I have thick skin. Like, it was something like that.
I might
have. Trust me, I have thick skin. You don't even know what's going on. Like, it was something like that. Which then I flipped around and was like trying to sell him leads. I was like, yeah, that's great. You should get some leads.
Some leads. Yeah. So let me put a cap on this, because there is another part of the story that I think is relevant, right? Because it's like people might wonder, how did it go from that to married? Like, So how did that escalate? So I think I want to say like a month went by, maybe 2 months, and all of a sudden we're in COVID. And I'm doing these. I start doing these lead
COVID
review
is.
videos on the YouTube
Yes.
channel early on, and they were really popular. People really liked them. Where I would buy leads from various lead vendors, and I'd personally work them and document my success, and then I would give the leads a score on what I felt they were, like in terms of like cost, affordability, intent, you name it, right? The videos are still up if you guys want to go watch them.
They're still there. They're still there.
And we did like, several Facebook ads vendors. We did direct mail vendors. We did like internet leads, like next gen leads. And so I was doing a lot of these and they were getting a lot of heat. And so Glenn sees those and goes, this would be a great opportunity, I think, for him to do one for Lead Heroes. So he reaches out to me and he's like, hey, you should do one of these for Lead Heroes. And I'm a salty bitch sometimes. So I'm like, so I see him message it. I'm like, why would I do that?
No.
Yeah, like, and I'm like, and so I made some kind of excuse for I'm like, yeah, we got a lot of vendors in the pipeline right now. I'll put it on the list, And I didn't have anybody in the pipeline. I was full of it. I think I was doing a lead concepts one.
Like that.
I think I was doing a lead concepts one like at the moment, but that was the only one that was kind of in the pipeline. So then he offers, well, what if I gave you a free batch to do that? And I'm like, free leads? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, and I just flipped. And I worked them and I had really good results. Especially back then I was a bad mofo with leads. I feel like I feel like I don't want to toot my own horn, but I feel like nobody was better. I don't think there's any agent in America you could at that time just picked them, handed them a random batch of leads and been like, go, and they would have done better than me. Was at the peak
I was nervous too. I was nervous because I knew that no matter what your experience was, not to mention we had already kind of started on this left foot. So I was part of me was concerned. I was like, this dude's going to get a bad batch, which sometimes that happens, right? We're manufacturing leads, right?
And then toast the leads.
Yeah. I mean, like sometimes, if we generate 100,000 leads throughout the course of a year, you guys, there will be a few bad batches in there. And so, I'm concerned. I'm not trying to cherry pick. I'm just trying to give Christian an authentic experience at the time. And I'm like, hey, here you go. Here's 25 leads, whatever it was. And then I'm sitting there in the corner and I'm like, please God, please God, please God, please God. But it went, I remember you telling me, you're like, I closed like 6 out of 25. You're like, these are actually really good. I remember being like, yes, you had a really good experience.
So I gave it like a super, super favorable review. I want to say my total score was like 9 out of 10 or 9.5 out of 10 or something. And I remember you came back and you're like, why not 10? I was like, I gave you an A+, bro. And then from there, that kind of spiraled. Like we started, getting along better. We started, live streaming, collaborating, and then the rest is kind of